You want the microphone? Yeah, because you can't hear anything over Zoom otherwise. But can we not have a video of me?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Don't we want to share my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, well, how do we do that? What do you need to do? I want to show the PowerPoint. I don't want to show me.
Don't show me.
Oh,
This one?
thanks. Yep. Okay. Oh, no.
That's going to stay there. There we go.
Takia, if you're on, will you take yourself off mute and let me know if you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Good to go? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Takia. Oh, look.
You're welcome.
Okay. Let me pull this up. So thank you guys for coming today. I'm glad it shows that on your side, doesn't on mine. So I have over 4 years learned a lot of things not to do at open houses. So I am sharing with you everything that I have done that has worked. And if you ever have questions about an open house, please come see me. My buyer's agent, Hannah, is also here, and Hannah can tell you that our open houses are really big. Open houses don't sell houses. I don't care what anybody tells you. They usually don't. If somebody comes through and likes it, they usually come back with their agent later and put the offer in. Like it is, I have yet to have an open house where somebody comes in and says, nope, I'm not going to come back and look at it. I'm going to buy it today. But they're really good for marketing yourself and getting your name out there. I have gotten numerous clients, both buyers and sellers, from hosting open houses. Hannah's gotten tons of buyer leads. You just have to learn how to do it the right way. So I'm going to go through some things that have worked for my team. And if you guys have questions, please just stop and ask. So you will notice that people host open houses all the time. Doesn't matter how long the home has been on the market. They will host them, if it's been on the market 3 months, 6 months, a week, whatever. If you want the most traffic, so if you are hosting an open house to get buyer leads, the best time to do it is about a week after it hits the market. So our team tries to list home on Thursdays and Fridays. That's when most people start to have their time off in their weekend. And when we do that, we usually have an open house that Saturday. That will be the biggest open house for the property. If the property does not sell and we have another one the following week, we still usually have about 20 people show up, just because we've learned how to market it. But the first week is when you get all of your people who haven't had a chance to set up a time with an agent, people who don't have an agent, people who, some agents, hopefully nobody in this office because we're good agents, but some agents who are like, oh, you go look at the house first. You can go to the open house without me. See if you like it. If you like it, we'll come back. So you usually get a ton of traffic that first week and you have it. So if you're looking for buyer leads, I always suggest that is the best time. I'm not saying not to do it any other time, because Hannah and I've held them, when homes have been on the market multiple weeks and we still have people coming through, we still get leads. That is just the best time that we've seen. The second best time would be if there's been a big price drop, so that it pops up and is fresh again, because you hit a different targeted market of buyers. So for instance, if you had it listed at, I don't know, like 215, you're going to have the buyers from 215 all the way up to probably 240, 250, right? If you, for some reason, dropped it to 199, you then hit anybody who's qualified at 200. So you hit a whole separate pack of buyers at that point. So these are the ways that we have found out through much trial and error, the best ways to market a home. And I'm going to go over each one of them. So please, if you have questions, please just ask. I'm still waiting on somebody else who said she was on her way. So I'm hoping she'll be here soon. Our team does flyers for social media. We also do ads on social media, and we do them across all social media. So I don't even use my Twitter account except to post a listing. And the only reason I do that is I noticed last year, maybe it was sometime after Christmas, and I used the hashtag open house Sunday because we're hosting an open house. And there is a massive Twitter account that literally goes through and shares every open house Sunday post, and it goes national. So I literally don't use Twitter for anything else. Still don't understand it. And I'm 35 years old and I don't understand it. But I use it to post stuff for my business simply because that one hashtag was taken and the crap was shared out of it because agents across the country use it. So it's like all this extra free publicity. So when I say we share across social media, we do Facebook and Instagram like everybody else. But I also do LinkedIn and Twitter specifically because of that. So once you get one social media and you've learned how to use it really well, like start branching out, and you can go through mine. They're literally all copy and pasted, and I am not lying. Like, do not reinvent the wheel. Like the same thing that goes on Facebook goes on LinkedIn, but you hit different people with each social media. Open House Sunday. And you can I'll put up on Twitter later, remind me. There is a massive Twitter account that literally, not realtor, not Keller Williams, it was Open House Sunday. And it got seen, it had all these likes. I was like, ooh. I mean, I'm sure most of them were not in Virginia, but it didn't matter because it was all this extra publicity on their Twitter account because they knew how to use Twitter. So that's what I'm saying. Learn one, like get really good at one, and then start branching out until you can figure out how to incorporate them all in your business because you never know where that lead's going to come from. Am I good? Okay. So I was in trouble. So we create a flyer or an image, and that's what we blast across social media. We do the same thing with an ad. I'm a little obsessive with signs and balloons at my open houses. The other thing is keeping it unique to you. We also do door hangers and we team up. That's where I said I'll bring Bill Metter up later. So these are all the ways, and I'm gonna go through each one of them, how we have found to get the extra, you get in front of more eyes and you get, I'll see how fast that went. You get in front of more eyes and you get more people. So this is just one example of a social media flyer that we did. When I say social media, I mean, we take the same one, you can put it across multiple platforms. You can put pictures on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. So we usually create one or two different ones. This is the main one that goes on Facebook, and we share the heck out of it. You can create these in Command. You can create them in Canva, basically any image program you have. And it helps you because you get in front of all these people. So you're going to take the professional photos that you had from the listing. You just take a couple to kind of entice them. I used to do ones that had a lot of writing. People don't read words. Like there's no point. If you go through my old posts, you'll see, and the more pictures, the less words, the more the responses. That's what I'm saying. Like we've narrowed this down to what works really well. You need to make sure that it says you're licensed. I put the agent's name. So this was my other buyer's agent who was on our team. So it said Kate McKay, and I put her face so they knew who to look for and they knew whose name it was. And I literally just put the date, the time, and the location. I didn't put price. I didn't put anything else about the home because it didn't matter. People want to see the pictures because if they don't like the looks of it, they're going to move on.
Can you clarify how to post that you're licensed? I mean, I can't see the tiny print on that enough to see
It says licensed in the state of Virginia.
Okay.
At the bottom, that teeny tiny print.
Did you have to put that on every single thing that you do? Because I haven't put that on mine. I've put Keller Williams Roanoke, Realty Roanoke, put the realtor sign or housing sign.
I don't.
My contact info, but I haven't put like unlicensed.
I don't. The only reason I started putting it on there is because I don't have everything else on there. So that's kind of to cover myself when it goes out, because it does go to so many different, like you can look on my Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and see and Instagram that there's tons of people not in the state of Virginia. So that way, when they see it, like when the open house shares it, they'll see license in the state of Virginia and they'll go, wait a second. And they'll pull it back in. But this is one of the big reasons you get professional photos. Because you can utilize the heck out of them. Like, it is worth its money in gold. And I can also show you, if you guys ever have questions about more flyers, like obviously Instagram makes squares. But the less words, the better. You can put it in the post, like as much wording as you want. And we take this one and we put it on our business page, on our personal pages. But then this is also, we'll have a post that has the information. And we'll share that post to all of, Fraser does it too, to all the yard sale groups, to all the realtor groups, because that's how you're getting in front of people. And that's how you're getting multiple people. The more you utilize that free publicity, somebody in the Roanoke Valley yard sale might see it and might go, oh, I've been looking for a home over there. I'm not really sure what I want though. But they've got an open house. Right. They've got an open house. Yeah, I might stop by if I'm in the area.
Yeah, and also too, like market on the Facebook Marketplace, then you'll start getting leads coming in.
Yep.
And then you'll have, what I mean by that is like they may not want that house. And then
So
you'll say,
like, if you have a realtor,
and then all of a sudden next thing you know, you'll pick them up.
You're picking them up and it's free.
I was gonna say,
Like
That's
when you
free.
post these, it's totally free. Post them to the groups, the marketplace. These are all free. And I mean, I do not pay like Zillow or anything. Do you pay Zillow, Fraser?
I'm not going to.
Fraser does not pay Zillow either. You heard it. But
You don't have to.
these are great ways to bring in those free leads because exactly like you said, I've had multiple people that message or they leave a comment on the post. You have to be really careful and really diligent if you're going to do this because you have to watch your notifications. They'll leave a comment and it'll say like, I tagged Faye Muncie in it. Well, then Faye comes back and leaves messages. Oh, Katie, I really like that house. Great. You have two people right there that you can then send a message to. Faye may not want that house. Katie may not want that house, but you've now reached out to them and you've made a contact. Yeah, they may not be ready to buy yet, but in 3 months, she may see another open house and be like, oh, that was that same agent that messaged me. She's still doing it. She still knows what's going on. She's got a couple really cute houses. I'm going to reach out to her again. So you never know. You have to I've watched multiple agents when they post in the groups, I see the tags like of the people in the comments and they never reach out to them. I'm like, you guys, those are like free leads just sitting there, like waiting to be scooped up. I will reach out to every single one, or like I'll send Hannah, like, please do not leave those because you're not paying for them. This is an example of an ad that I boosted on Facebook. So we do forms to get leads, but I also will boost. This one's for an open house. So I will boost like if it was just listed, an open house. Every once in a while there'll be a fun one from our team. Like you could see one last week with my dog, just to keep it like changed up and keep different people looking at it. So this one was only $20, and you can. I can't see anything on my screen. I'm glad that's bigger for y'all. You can look it when they show you the reach. Those are individual Facebook accounts, so it's all based on their algorithms, and it reached 5,394 people. And 213 Facebook accounts actually interacted with the post, whether they shared it, whether they commented, whether they liked it. That's 213 people. So they're saying it costs 9 cents per engagement. I mean, I would pay 9 cents for a lead every day. Like, that's nothing because once you get them engaged, it's about keeping them engaged and keeping them on the line. And that's why I'm saying you have to learn one social media and be really diligent. Because if you start off and you've got like 10 Facebook posts and you do great, you don't post for 3 weeks, you've now lost all that you just built up. Does that make sense? Like you have to find, it's hard to find that happy medium. But this is what brings the people in. That's 5,000 Facebook accounts. That's all we were hosting an open house. No, they're not all going to show up. But what was the last one? Like 40 or 50 people?
Yep, 40. It was like 40 people, and then the first one that we had in Castleview was 100 people.
I was a little salty about that one because I didn't host it and they beat my number. So I was a little salty that they had more people at their open house. It was my buyer's agents doing it. I was like, man, because the most I had was like 47. I was like
yeah,
in the lead, and then they like, well, they blew mine out of the water, so I was a little salty. I was like, just because you can do it doesn't mean. But when you've got 100 people coming to an open house, agents take note. The buyers and sellers there take note. I literally had somebody come to an open house. I don't know. I mean, I know exactly the house. So it must have been in 2019. I'll show you in a minute what we do at the open house. And as they were leaving, they came back to me, handed me the stuff, and they said, just so you know, we're not selling because we just bought last year. You know, we're looking at this for a friend who's coming, who wants to move to our neighborhood, but you'll be the agent we recommend to everybody because we've never been to an open house like this. And we've never seen an agent work like this. And we've been to, they were like, you know, we went to a ton of open houses. They were people, you know, there's people that like going to them. And they were like, we will send all of our friends. They asked for a stack of business cards. I mean, and I brought him like 10. He said, do you have more? Like I literally handed him the entire baggie. I was like, sure, I got more in my house. Take it. I mean, what do you have to lose? But he was so impressed with the way that I did it that he was then going to refer me to other people. And I did have somebody call me a couple weeks after and say, hey, you know, my friend gave me your business card from the open house. So it's little things like that. Like once you figure it out and figure out how to do it, you just keep building on it. This is where I was saying I was a little obsessive. So as humans, we all suffer from FOMO, the fear of missing out. If you have a teenager, have been around teenagers, you know that it is a very real thing. But also adults suffer from it too. Like I will prove it time and time again. You are not going to drive by my house in the street and not like take a second look, are you? Like who's going to drive by that? You might not even go near my house. You're going to be like, oh, I literally put at least 6 signs at every house I do. Because you're not going to drive by it, are you? Without taking a second look. And then you're going to be like, what's she got inside? Like, what's she doing that I'm not doing? How are they getting their agent? You know, it never fails. That's one of the reasons our open houses are so big, because people are scared to death they're missing out on something. I don't know what they think they're missing out on, but I literally, the signs are super cheap. You can read some of my favorites. The honey stop the car is my favorite. That one doesn't, the dog, yeah, I have one that says your dog will love it, or your dog, it's something about your dog living there. Stop the car, turn around, welcome home. We have heart-shaped ones that say welcome home or welcome to your dream home. They're like less than $10 at the RVA office. They're not, you know, they're not super expensive. They're not super fancy, but it doesn't matter because not a single person, you can watch the cars on the street. If you can get to a window, and it's hilarious to watch, they'll drive down. You can make a mental note. Oh, I saw a red car, and you can watch the car turn at the end of the street and come back and park. And seriously, half the time they're not even interested in buying the house. But that's how we've gotten some of our leads, because they're like, oh, well, yeah, I plan to in a month or two. I was going to reach out to this realtor, but yeah, give me your card. And you got them, and you snagged them, basically stole from somebody else. But like they didn't have anything signed, like as long as they're not signed, right? So I know that sounds crazy to have all those signs. The other thing is, it's total perception.
This house is special because look at all.
Well, and I could go back through Instagram and find the post, but I'm not going to. I had an open house in North County a couple years ago, and I probably only had 4 or 5 signs in the front yard because it was like the yard was like up on a hill. It's over near Waterfall Lake, if you guys know where that is. So it goes up on a hill, right? So I had like 4 or 5 signs in the yard. Well, there was a house. Mine was on the corner, and then it had a cul-de-sac. There was a house in the cul-de-sac for sale too. You know how fast he jumped in his car and held an open house once he saw my signs go up? Like mine was like 1 to 3, and I guess they called because I got there early. Mine had to have been early in the day. And you know, I get there like 30 to 40 minutes early to make sure everything's set up. They called their agent because they told my clients. They called their agent and were like, we're gonna have so many people on the street. She's got balloons, she's got signs. You need to come to an open house at ours. So he threw a sign up real fast and opened his house up. I mean, this literally costs almost nothing because once you buy the signs, you have them. You know, Hannah has them on house or car somewhere. She has them all right now. But they're super, like, what agent is gonna drop everything they're doing and come do an open house on Sunday? I mean, really? But he did. I mean, he came and his clients came over and told their neighbors that was the whole reason they had an open house on Sunday. And of course, you couldn't even see his one sign behind mine, but he threw one up there like on the corner of the street just to. I overshadowed him big time, but he got a ton of people at his open house because they were at ours and they saw his one little rinky-dink sign. They're like, oh, I guess we'll walk next door. The other thing I do is I put balloons on all my signs. They're $1, you guys, at the Dollar Tree. Like, go buy the balloons. You can get red ones for Keller Williams. That day they were out of stars. Normally I get stars. They had hearts. Like, they always have a solid red balloon. I promise you. I literally get like 10 balloons, and at the end of the open house, there's always kids. Like almost always there's a kid, right? And they're always like outside bopping them. I'll go outside and cut them throughout the open house. Because once you've started the open house, like, and they'll see a couple, I'll go out and cut them and hand it to the kid because I don't want them. I mean, my kids will go like mess with them. So you not only have drawn the family in, then you made the kid really happy. And as a parent, anybody who makes the kid happy, automatically I go back and take a second look at because I went there, you know, like if I saw like if Faye was hosting and she gave my kid a balloon, I'd be like, oh, yeah, that really did a really good open house. But that's the one that gave him the balloon too. Remember? Like those are the things, they don't remember your name, they remember your actions. And you spent almost no money and it's still a write-off. You can tell that house, you can tell the different signs I use. I think that one has your dog will love it. So you can see there's like the call out ones. There's heart-shaped ones. We have directional signs that literally say open house and point. People are stupid. It doesn't matter how many signs you put in the yard, they'll still wonder why they're there. But if you put multiple, like they'll have open house call outs into the yard. The other thing I do that I left on the other slide, sorry, is we put them at the ends of the street. We usually only go one street out. Unless we're like 2 or 3 streets into a neighborhood, we usually just go one street. If we're really close to like this one was really close to 419, it was off Colonial. So she put one at the end of Colonial where our street intersected, but then also put one on 419 because you're going to get all that extra through traffic. So not only do I have like the 6 signs in the yard, I'll have like 2 directionals at the end of the street with balloons pointing down the street. Like I use the arrow ones for that. And it'll say open house this away.
Katy said that she got a client once from putting one of those signs in like on the median because the client was like,
Because they're so impressed.
Yeah, they're like, wow, I can't believe you went in traffic to go put this sign up. Like I want you as my realtor.
Why would you not though? Like that's the whole thing. Like how bad do you want those people to come to your open house?
Can I ask a question about the amount of signage you can put in certain areas? Because I seem to recall that in Roanoke County, they have a limitation on how many signs can be put in certain areas.
Noodles change stuff apart. That's only for sale.
Oh, okay.
For the day of an open house, you can do is there's no limit. I've never heard of a limit. I can't leave them up. So that is for directionals. So there's what she's asking is, I don't know if you guys can hear on Zoom, is the limit on signs, and that is in the RVAR class. And Roanoke County is the stickler. If you are selling a home, let's say you're selling a home up in Hunting Hills, you can only have a sign saying home for sale with an arrow pointing at the base, and there can only be one. So if I have this home for sale and Faye has one and Johnny has one, we can't each put a home for sale sign up. Only the first person. And they're I mean, when you get the directional sign from RVAR that says Roanoke Valley Association home for sale, they're white signs with a blue arrow. They put your code on there. So like mine has my last name on it with a number that RVAR wrote on it. But that's where you're limited. I don't leave these up ever. These go up.
But they're like yard sale signs. You can put them up wherever you want
As long as you take them back down. So if I'm hosting an open house from 2 to 4, I am at the house by 1:30. And actually, I'm pretty sure it was this house that Katy and I were hosting open house at, and neither of us had eaten lunch. So I grabbed lunch for us on the way. We were there at like 1:20, put all the signs out, eating lunch at 1:40, and there's people trying to get in the door. So that's why I tell you, if you really want a big open house, you can't show up. You need to be there at least 30 minutes early. Like the signs and everything need to be up 30 minutes early because as soon as people see them, they're going to start coming in. So I make sure everything's ready inside. Like I make sure I have my stuff set up. Then I go out and do the signs. Because the second they see those signs, and there will be people coming in, they'll look at it and it'll say 2 to 4. There'll be people pulling up at 4 o'clock. Can I walk through the house? Well, absolutely you can, especially if you don't have an agent today. Like I will let you come through this house. So this is where I said to be unique about your open houses. Like the thing with the balloons, like where you hand them, I say like I give the balloons out to kids if they're there. I also usually make Keller Williams sugar cookies if I'm hosting the open house. And everybody now knows that I make them. So it's like something unique to you. It doesn't take that long, but it's a great, like I put on here, it's a great reminder. Like I put it on social media, on my personal one. I'm like your Facebook story and Instagram story, making cookies for my open house this afternoon. So then your friends are like, oh yeah, because then they'll share it And it's not the open house post, it's not the for sale. It's the fact that you've got something that's unique to you, you know? Not that I think everybody should go out and make Keller Williams sugar cookies, but like something that keeps your open house unique to you. So they can be like, oh, Johnny did such and such in his open house. I haven't seen another agent do that. And people don't usually take snacks at open houses. Like I get like little water bottles and I get like crackers, but they will take the cookies every time. Like fresh made cookies, you don't usually, obviously I don't know if COVID is people still will, but I've never had an issue with people taking cookies from an open house. So this is where Hannah comes in.
I should have people come, like neighbors come.
So I ordered these off Etsy. You can order them if you're lazy like me. You can also make them. They're not that hard to make. I was just being lazy. And I got them in red for Keller Williams. What you can't see in the picture, or maybe you can, see those little circle things? That holds your business card. So we got ones. We got more than this, so we got a couple different kinds.
Yeah, I got ones for I'm thankful to be your neighbor for Thanksgiving. And then you need a home for the holidays, like what's some higher end apartments.
Yeah, so they're super easy. This is actually really nice. And Hannah's gotten people at open houses just by going out like Friday or Saturday before the open house on Sunday. And you can fill each one in. I think it was like $10 for 50 of these. Like, maybe it wasn't even that much.
I think these ones are a little more expensive just because she makes those handmade.
Yeah, these are handmade. They're cut and everything so that you can put on there. But they really were not that expensive. And we had enough to do more than one open house,
Oh, yeah,
right?
I still have some left.
Okay, so I think I got like 100. I don't think I got 50. I think I got a lot. But you can go on Etsy and find them custom made. You can go to Staples and get your own if you want. I just am too lazy to do that. I'd rather hit like add to cart and do it. But it gives you a space to put the address of the home and when it is. And then Hannah can still put her card there so that, you know, if she puts it up at Johnny's house and Johnny's thinking, and then Kim's the neighbor next door and she, you know, for some reason tossed her, she could be like, oh, do you remember, did you get one of those door hangers too? And he kept his just in case. You know, everybody's going to remember that. Yes, most people throw them in the trash, but they read them before they throw them in the trash. So you've at least gotten across. Or Kim may have a, you know, the neighborhood that we moved to, I have friends waiting to move to our neighborhood. So Kim may have a friend that really wants to move near her because they like the atmosphere of her neighborhood. And she may be dying to find a home for him. And, you know, maybe we list Friday morning and Hannah puts these up Friday afternoon and she hasn't seen the listing yet. She can then call her friend and be like, hey, there's an open house 2 streets away from me. I know you want to move here. You know, so you never know where that extra lead is going to come from on here. Here's the one with Bill that I was talking about. I know the vendors tell you all the time that they're willing to help you. Like, take advantage of that because we bring the business to them. They don't bring it to us. Very rarely does the lender or the insurance agent call you and say, hey, I've got this person. They don't have an agent. That like never happens, right? It's us taking them to the lender, us taking them to the home insurance agent, right? Like we recommend who we know does a good job. So utilize them when it comes time to sponsor things. Bill has sponsored realtor luncheons and open houses with gift card and snacks. This is actually our Christmas card. And we took Christmas presents. Sean is a lender with integrity upstairs. And he did Christmas presents with our team. And we took Christmas presents to our clients from the year. They'll bring snacks to open houses, but then they also use that to promote it on their social media and their emails. And they had a whole different group. You know, every time somebody else shares it, it's a whole different group. So if you're going to do an open house and like Bill's going to come and he's got a $25 gift card to raffle off or something, you know, you can then, yes, you're going to share it, but you're going to tag his insurance page. Well, then he's going to share it. So you're going to hit all of your people and all of his people. And there may be somebody on his who then shares it, who then finds the buyer for the house. Like you have to think about all this ahead of time on the ways to market that open house, because that's another post, you know, like you can have a post that says your open house is going to be Sunday or Saturday, whatever time, right? Then you can have another one that says, make sure you stop by my open house Sunday because Bill Metter is sponsoring the blah, blah, blah of the open house. Or make sure you stop by the open house if you get a lender because, you know, if you're unrepresented and you're not sure, you know, Sean Cosmos Integrity Mortgage will be there to go over any questions you have with the loan and help you get started on the loan process. You know, so then every time you can make a new post about something, you're going to see more. That's all those algorithms coming together to get those leads. Does that make sense? Like, totally use them. Don't ever feel bad for using them. I did it first. Don't feel bad for using them because you're taking the business to them. So they want to keep you happy, right? Okay. So this is how I got, remember how I said I had somebody come to an open house and he asked for a bag of cards? This is how I did it. And I would totally take credit, except I did not come up with it. Right after I joined Keller Williams, and you join all the Keller Williams groups, because I started in bold like the week I joined Keller Williams. So I don't even know which group it came from. It was on Facebook. Everybody left their emails to get sent this form. I would love to give the person credit. It was somebody in California. That's all I know. We have since taken the form, and Rebecca with Hartley Closings edited a little bit for me. But this is how we get feedback. When you host an open house and you ask them to sign in, people don't usually sign in, do they? Or they'll just put like Johnny and move on. You don't know Johnny's last name. You don't know Johnny's phone number. You don't know his email. How are you supposed to contact him? How do you know whether he's interested? How do you know if he has a buyer's agent? Like, you don't know any of those things, right? So I have actually, when I've done this, I've only had one person tell me when they walked in they didn't want to do it. And it was totally FOMO because by the time he left, he said, go ahead and give it to me. I'm just not giving you my information. I said, that's fine. But he came back and filled it out. So when I host an open house, everybody who comes through that door, like every single group, I have a feedback sheet for the sellers. So they know what they can or cannot do to get their house sold. And it's really important. And they actually sit down and they go through them all. Like, all my sellers look through all of these. Because one of my sellers called me one time, was like, oh, I went to high school with this girl. I was like, what? Like, I don't even pay attention usually if they're represented. But she literally read everything on the sheet, including who left the feedback. So this is what it looks like. I went and got clipboards from the Dollar Tree. So I have like $6 invested in clipboards. And I tied pens on them. So there's always a pen there. And I can email this if anybody wants it. You just have to, I'll take my logo off. I literally, Faye walks in with her husband, come right in the door. I'm like, hey, I'm Katy Cookston. I'm hosting the open house. I have this clipboard with information. This is just for you to rate the house as you walk through. You can leave as much or as little information for them as you like. You know, these forms go straight to the seller. I don't keep them. That's the God's honest truth. And if you have an agent, would you mind putting their name at the bottom? I do that because what happens before I added that line is Johnny would walk through and say, oh, I'm already working with Fraser Hughes, and keep going through the house. And I'd have to make a mental note that when Fraser called me 2 weeks later and said, well, my client went through, I'm like, oh, crap, who was this client? You know? So I take a picture of all these sheets to keep in my phone until the house goes under contract. But I have yet, most of the time, people will put all of their information. And it's also really good because if they're lying and saying they're working with an agent, that's what a lot of people will do. And they don't put a name down. So when they hand the form back to you, they're like, oh, and who was the agent you said you work with to get your pen ready? And they're like, well, 100% they're not represented. I promise you. So that's when you can say, hey, yeah, that's okay, but here's my card just in case things change, let me know. Because if you're signed with somebody, you're going to put their name down, right? Even if, you know, I've had ones where they're like, well, I've used Fraser for the last 3 transactions, so that's somebody to use again. Great. You may not have signed with him yet, but you have that relationship. So I put it down there. So then when he calls, I remember the one, you know, I can look back and go, oh, he hated the curb appeal, but he loved everything else. You know, like, you can start to look at those things and you understand the buyers better, so you can understand how to work for your sellers better. Does that make sense? But this is how we get all the leads too.
I think that form is so engaging too, because it's not threatening, you're not asking for really specific.
You're not pushy.
Questions. People love to circle a number.
People-
They
I have
love
kids do it.
Yeah.
Like
Kids do.
not quite teenagers, but you know, Like I have an 8 and 9-year-old. Like mine would totally do it at an open house. But I have literally had parents go, "Ugh," and like hand it to their kid because they don't want to be bothered. You know, because people coming into open house are used to pushy. Hey, Faye, I'm Katy Cookston. Are you represented? I'd love to work in their, you're like in their face, right? I let them come in and come to me. Like I'm usually in like the first room, but I don't like attack them. And I have the clipboard ready because I've got the door open and watch. I'm like, hey, you know, will you just fill this out while you walk through the home? As much or as little information, because I'm just going to turn it over to the sellers. It just helps them. That way they get the honest feedback and it's not, you know, if Christy tells Faye something, Faye tells Johnny, and then Johnny comes to me and says, well, Christy said, my God, that could be a totally different story by now. Like every single thing in that story could change. But if Faye fills it out and I literally leave the paper on the table for the seller is getting the most honest feedback. And people, you know, that have more personality like mine, I've had people actually turn it over and like write full notes, like and leave full things to the sellers, like good things, not bad things. And then some people just will circle 1 or 2 and then put, you know, name Johnny and then turn it back over. But that's okay because then my sellers still see that. You know, then it's not me saying, oh, well, we had 50 people at this open house. Because I usually mark at the top, like I do little tick marks. So if Faye and her husband came in, they handed it to me, I would put 2 tick marks at the top of their sheet. So that then I can say, hey, this one had 2 people in this group, or this one had 4 people. You know, it's just, when you take that pushiness away, because realtors have a stigma for being really pushy, it all like, people relax so fast. Oh yeah, they tell it. I'm not denying it, but the people relax so much faster. I had one open house and oh my God, I can't remember who it was. I mean, I can see your face right here. And if you give me a minute, I'll think of her name. And her clients walked in and I had the clipboard. She was outside. And I mean, I've done deals with her. I'd never seen her first night. Well, that's how much shorter she was than me. So I had no idea who she was because I just didn't recognize her, right? I had done, oh my God, I can't remember the name of my life. Oh, nope. That's gonna drive me crazy, guys. It's Cheryl Ham. Cheryl Ham. I couldn't get her name out. Cheryl Ham is shorter than me. And she's phenomenal to deal with.
I've seen her face all over town.
Right.
For years.
Right. Oh, she's phenomenal to deal with. So it's so funny because I'm literally handing the clipboard and she comes from, I don't know where, racing around. She goes, Katy, you know better than, I said, when I heard the voice, I recognized. I was like, hey, Cheryl. And I felt really tall. I was like, I'm not asking to be their agent. And she's like, what's this? And she picks up, she goes, oh, this is really good, Katy. And hand it right to her client. So agents will respect you because you're not trying. I said, there's literally a spot where they can put Cheryl Ham. And she goes, oh, that's really good. And took the clipboard and handed it right to her client and went on about showing the house. So other agents will respect you because you're not trying to steal their clients too. You know, like when I say she appeared out of nowhere, I mean, I don't know where she was, but she came flying around there when she heard me talk to them. But then I had her respect, not only to be done deals together, but when she saw that I wasn't trying to like grab her client and make them mine, everybody gets more relaxed.
I went to an open house when I was looking to buy like 4 years ago. And I did fill out the form and I know it says you're working with me. And I did say I was working with one. And I got an email from the agent who hosted the open house. And I'm trying like heck to remember exactly what that email said, but I was surprised because I hadn't gotten any calls or emails from people in the past.
Am I good? Oh, okay.
Because they had seen that I was working with real estate agents, so they didn't contact me.
So did they just say like, thank you for coming to the open house?
I want to say it was thank you for coming to the open house. If you ever need anything, let me know. And I don't know now, as a realtor, was he overstepping? I can tell you who that was. Grant Snyder. I don't even know what, he means nothing to me. I haven't seen him since 4 years ago, but I'm like, was he not supposed to have done that? Because I did tell him I had to go, but I remember his name to this day. I don't need him, but I remember his name. He's the only realtor that ever reached out to me. Was he not supposed to do that? Okay. So he wasn't supposed to do that.
It is not something I would suggest.
Okay.
And here's why. Because if, let's say Johnny says the open house, right? And Faye's my client. She goes, yes, I have an agent, but he doesn't have a sheet like mine that has everything. And then he reaches out to her. And then she calls me and is like, hey, I told her I had an agent. I'm gonna call him and be like, Johnny, what are you doing? When if he had just sent an email that said, hey, thanks so much for stopping by the open house. if your agent has any questions, let me know. Like, that's how I usually try to phrase it. Because
And
then
he
I'll
may
be
have
like,
said it- He may have said that, but
Yeah.
in my mind, I was like, he reached out to me, which was like,
but you need to acknowledge the agent. Like, it's totally fine to email them as long as you acknowledge
okay.
that they're represented, in my opinion.
So it's okay to still have some contact with them as long as there's no evidence of any kind of coaching.
But you're not trying to take them because you have to respect that. Because that's when you can get in trouble. But if he had said, hey, thanks so much for stopping by our open house. Remember, if you have questions, please have your agent call me. And make sure that your agent knows that, that you were at the open house. I'd love to talk with them. Something like that. As long as you keep putting your agent, I think you're totally covered.
Okay.
Because you're not dismissing the fact that they're represented.
Okay. I didn't mean to bring up the sore subject.
No, I'm trying to, I would double check with Amber on broker rules on that one.
You wanna watch your clients around him.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's just not something I would do though. I would totally email and be like, hey, Christy, thanks so much for coming to the open house. I see Hannah Cribb is representing you. Please tell Hannah if she has any questions to feel free. It was nice meeting you, or something like that. Like.
And he may have said that again, this is a long time ago. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I do remember he said he just got started in the business, like he was new.
Did he ask for feedback?
I don't
People
remember.
a lot of times people ask for feedback.
I don't think so,
Okay.
because I had plenty of feedback about the house that I lived at.
Yeah.
I was like, but yeah, it just struck me as he was being more aggressive than any other agent that I had encountered at any. Like no other open house agent reached out to me in any way. Once I was out of the house, that was the.
Well, and if she says she was representing, he wanted feedback, what he could have done, just for you guys, like, 'cause I was told when I started, remember, basically don't piss off another realtor because you have to work with them. Okay, and you never know when you're gonna have to work with them. And like, if Faye's already irritated me, I don't want to talk to her. I'll talk to anybody else. I don't want to talk to her. She's already irritated me. Why is she sending me? Like, every time she calls, then I'm gonna have that. I don't want to talk to her. So if he had wanted feedback, a really gentle way could have been, hey, thanks for coming to the open house. You didn't put who represented you. Would you mind either emailing me feedback or please copy your realtor on here or have them reach out to me with some feedback so that I can get to my sellers? You never want to. Frazier, did you hear me? So if we're looking for a way, if you're hosting an open house, and Johnny comes and he says, well, I'm represented, but you want feedback from him after the open house, but he didn't tell you who. Don't you think like a nice, gentle way would be like, hey, we would love some feedback. Could either you or your realtor reach out to me?
That's just really encouraging.
Because then you're not dismissing the other. We're trying to.
Yeah, I try to stop him before he leaves the house.
But you wouldn't feel, if you were the realtor, you wouldn't feel discounted
Yeah, I feel
that your agent had been,
yes.
that your client had been reached out to like that because you're still included, right?
But
Okay.
again, if you want me to say,
Yeah. See, sneaky, I don't like. And that's how sorry, I just need another person's opinion. I think that's probably a better way to do it. Not that you can't reach out to them, you don't want to discount that realtor.
Yeah.
Because then they're not gonna like
That
it.
makes a lot of sense. I mean, you really want to make sure that you
Thank
choose your
you.
wording and that you cover your bases. And
Yeah.
don't give anybody an opportunity to be cranky with you.
Well, because then Frazier's gonna be like, the next time he sees you, you remember? Christy was she reached out to me. She's a really good realtor to work with. Whether he's done a deal or not, like if he sees your listing, he's gonna remember that in his head. I think that's probably the best way.
So let me ask you this, what's your follow-up if you get these that don't have an agent? What's your follow-up, because you've already gotten their feedback, so.
I will read. Do you want a script? Do you want me to read the script that I use?
Please ask my buyer's agent.
I just copy and paste and change the thing. Let me find. Sent.
You email, you don't call.
I text after, and I email. I just keep in touch, and I've gotten people like my Facebook page. Okay, so hello, Justin. It's great seeing you and your wife at if I remember they had someone with them, I might mention that too. But I was just good seeing you at the Castle View open house last Sunday. I'm a realtor with the Katy and Co team, and we're one of the top producing teams at Keller Williams Roanoke. purchasing a home is an exciting milestone. I love being a part of that experience. I would love to help you with any of your real estate needs now or in the future. Here's my real estate Facebook page where I share regular listings in the area with help with useful articles. I put my link. Please reach out to me if you have any real estate needs. I'd love to help. Have a great day.
The other way you can remember if they have somebody is when they hand you that clipboard, like where I put the tick marks. You can also make, because it's only your seller seeing it, you can put like, I would always assume I'd be like husband, wife, kid, or you can put like grandma, so-and-so, or like, I don't know. Yeah, so that you know, so that when the email comes through, anything they tell you, because then it's like, oh, Kim paid really good attention. She's on top. I don't know, I can't remember. I made notes. Like I don't remember anything. Like I will tell you that I have notes everywhere because I can't remember. Like it's, you just meet so many people. But when you have that note, it's the same thing when you're coming back to, you see the sheet. Oh, Johnny, what's his realtor? Oh, any other tips them. Hey, Johnny, I know the backyard was really important to your client because the kid loved it or something. Like then Johnny's like, oh, they really paid attention. You know, like they knew who the people were. You cannot open houses where I've had probably over 35 people. I'm doing good just to get tick marks. I don't get as many notes. But if you have like 20 to 30 people or anything under 20, you should be able to know who was in the group, maybe not the exact role again. You know, could be husband and husband, could be two best friends and one's come to support the other. I don't know. Anything that you can put on there though, and try to find out from them looks better when you send that email the next day. You know, anything like if they say, oh, and this is such and such school district because they had kids. Well, obviously, if he says his kids need to be in the school district, that's really important. You can also, once it's under contract, for those, like she sends an email and text, and then eventually we do call. People just don't be called a lot, and they usually hang up. But an email or text they usually respond to. What you can also do is if they haven't answered the email or text, but you remember that this school district is really important to this client named Johnny who came through and Johnny wasn't represented, you can email him and be like, hey, you know, unfortunately this one sold. However, I remember you said that your kids needed to stay in the school district and another home just hit the market. You know, if you're still not working with the buyer's agent, I'd love to take you to show it to you because then you've just made that impression with him
That you're watching out for.
that you're still, that you remember because you made notes, which is why I like having, I hate paper, but that's why I like having the sheet because you can make them all up and down the sides. And you may gain a client that he may have still been going to call Fraser that he used 3 years ago, but because you reached back out, he may be going to you now. He'd be like, oh, she remembered. Yeah,
She's
go ahead and show it
already
to us.
doing the job and
Right?
everything's hired.
Yeah, let's go ahead and show it to me. Look, yeah, we're gonna go meet her tonight just in case. You know, does that make sense? Like, it's all about making them, you're putting them at the top of the list. And if you guys want this email, just let me know. I will send it over. But those are like the tips and tricks that we've used. And if you find better ways to do it, don't worry, I will copy your better ways. Like I promise you. Because that's all, like that's how we grow. Like I said, that form, I 100% took from somebody in California, and then Becca helped me make it even better. Like theirs did not have, they didn't have on there if you were working with a realtor. And I don't think it had on there if you were planning on buying and selling. Theirs had like, what would you sell this home at in its current condition? And nobody was filling it out.
Or
Like-
I'm sure people that did would put it.
Like $60,000 less.
Yeah.
Like it almost never, that blank was almost never filled in. So we changed it a little bit just to what works for us. But yeah, like I said, we get feedback, and the feedback is the kicker because that's what your sellers want. You know, they want feedback from every showing, from every open house, and not every agent will give feedback, and you have to prepare them for that. But we get a lot of feedback from our open houses.
You ever had the people coming in and give you a hard time because you're asking for the name and address and it's going to the seller? Are they ever saying-
No, because I tell them to put as much or as little information as they like. So I'm not requiring them, I don't require anybody sign in an open house. Mainly because I have a sign in basically. Like this is basically a sign in, right? But because it's so relaxed, like I said, the one time I had somebody tell me no, I was like, oh, Like I had never had somebody tell me that. I was like, oh, hold on. And he's like, my wife always does that, and I am previewing the home. I was like, okay, but you don't have to put your name on here if you don't want. Like this literally is for the seller. No, my wife always does that stuff at open houses. I'll look by myself. And I was like, oh, whatever, dude. He went through and he probably was there 30 minutes. He comes back up because we were in the kitchen. It's usually where we set up. And he looks at me and goes, do you have any more of those forms? I said, yes, sir. And he goes, I'm still not giving you my information. I said, you don't have to. He goes, you said it's only go to the seller? I said, yes, sir. I'm literally, and I showed him. That's the other thing. Because I can show them, I have them face down, like I make a stack. Once they're done, you know, if Faye came in and she's done, I put hers down, she's gone, I give this clipboard to Johnny, he's the next one. So they can see that I've literally got them face down. I'm like, they're gonna stay right here. When my seller comes home, they'll still be right here. He goes, so you're not keeping them? I said, no, sir. They go to the seller, and he sat there, he circled every single one of those. He did not fill out his information. So I'm just like, he told me he wasn't. But it didn't matter because it was another person that was not me giving the seller feedback. It's like it's another set of eyes continuously going.
But if you tell them that this is going to the seller and that you're not keeping their information.
I don't tell them I'm not keeping their information.
Okay, gotcha. So you can still use it.
Tell them you're not keeping that paper.
I tell them I'm not keeping the paper, that the papers stay here for the seller. I never once tell them I'm not keeping the information.
Okay.
That's why I take a picture. Oh yeah. I take a picture of every single one that has any information on there.
You're definitely going in the marketing pile.
Right? Well, and until it's under contract, like if Johnny came through and gave everything a 4 and a 5 and he just puts Johnny on here, but he puts where it says, are you currently with your realtor? And he's put Fraser Hughes down, I'm going to keep that. Because then if Fraser calls for showing, I'm like, hey, is this for Johnny? He was at the open house. Now, once it's under contract, no, I delete them off my phone. But no, I leave them all for my sellers. I mean, then they usually go through them and toss them, but
I put a hashtag on in command on all the pages so that I can pull them up all at once and like I see how many I have, maybe like send them up, all of them follow up again.
you go through and in command, you add it with the contact.
Yeah, with the contact at the bottom it says like what is it?
You
Is it
label
called
them.
a
They're
hashtag?
tags.
They're
Tags.
tags.
Oh, okay.
They're
So
tags.
You can add it. Yeah,
Oh, and you can color coordinate your tags.
Oh yeah, they let you choose colors. It's fun.
Not
I
that
have
all mine
tags
will
for
be
like
color
way too many
coordinated.
tags.
But it's great because then you can search for them, and then you can pull up all the open house people.
Yeah.
And you could even like for a 100-person open house. If Hannah got like 30 leads, she could have everyone tagged open house like Castleview or something, right? And she can go back through and she can say, well, I emailed them all this day, and then I've texted them all, and I've also called them. And then whoever follows, anybody who answers her, she's like, oh, here's when they contacted me back. We'll pull up that Twitter account for you. And if you guys ever have questions, just don't call me. Text me or message me. You'll get an answer a lot faster. If you call me, I'm probably gonna call you back. Because that's just how my life is. It's literally called Open House Tweets, and it has 2,000 followers. But Open House Tweets is the account. Bless you. And like here's one where it says open house this Saturday, please retweet, and it has 9 more retweets on it. Still don't understand Twitter. Still gonna do it every time because that's 9 more times that post was shared that I didn't share it, and that reaches 9 totally different sets of people. But that's why the hashtags are super important when you do them too.
I don't do Twitter either, but I know a lot of people do, so.
There's a lot of people using it, and these are getting seen by multiple people. Have I had somebody directly call me saying they got it from Twitter? Nope. But is it also at the top of my pile? Nope.
I feel like a lot of people have Twitter that don't have other social media. My brother and my dad. Like, I don't know.
Because unless you're in a business, you probably don't use all 4 forms. Most people pick one and they stay with that one. But if you only pick one, then you're missing everybody on the others. That's why I said get really good at one and then like add them on in.
I'm the most comfortable with Facebook just because I've used it for so long. And so the last ad that I did that ran through command, I have run 2 ads through command. All the other ads that I've run have been either post boosts or they've been ads through Facebook.
Facebook. Yeah.
And I wanted to see if there was a difference between all of those different methods, either just boosting a post or doing an actual Facebook ad or doing a Facebook ad through command. And the first time I did a Facebook ad through command, it reached 15, 19 And I'm like,
It all
why the
depends.
hell did that
So
happen?
much.
But I don't know why it was so different ad. Yeah, it was a completely different ad, but I don't know.
It helps when people like it. That's why it's good that you, like, I try to tell my friends, like, if you see this ad, like it, because that helps them reach more.
Oh, I go through and like stuff all the time and don't read it.
I thought it had.
When I see that it's from somebody who's doing like, if it's another realtor, don't take offense. If it's another realtor, if it's a lender, if it's an insurance agent, who, Alex Lineberry's wife, Alex in the Christiansburg office, I don't even know what she sells, but she sells something and I will go through every time and she knows it. Cause she's always like, are you still, I was like, yeah, because guess what? Every time I hit the like button, if I'm scrolling, I know that it's gonna get you seen by, Facebook's gonna say, oh, well, she had 10 likes, so she goes into this category now. Like every time you see it, that's why I do it, because I know how it helps me. So when I have the time, I'll go through and I'll like everybody's, because that's how you succeed.
Facebook ads really know when I lose. Like, I've gotten some crazy people, and then I've gotten people that I'm like, we're actually working with now that are awesome.
I have
So
not gotten anybody that actually is.
I had to call this one lady. I literally had to call her for a month until she answered. And now now she's like wanting to do like 3 different deals.
Yeah, but she responded and said, yeah. Like,
Well, I had to call her back
in a month. Comments.
Well, I'll be like, can I call you back in a month and maybe you'll see where you're at. And I called her back in a month. And she was like, okay. I don't.
But did it come up as a lead? Like the only,
Yeah.
I've had maybe 3 comments, maybe a total of 3. They weren't really even relevant for the most part. And a couple ads ago that I did, it was just a boosted Facebook post. For some reason, the settings got messed up and I thought that it was the same settings that it had been the time I boosted it before. And it turns out that it was the entire United States. So I had this guy, all he did is he responded with, do you have any investment properties? And I'm like,
Yes, I do. Let me
I
find it for you.
responded back and I said, can you tell me a little bit about what you're looking for? I'd be happy to talk with you. Because I didn't even know where he was. Well, he's in Arkansas. And I'm like, And he goes, can I call you? Well, what do you say? Sure. Go ahead and call me. I have now talked to this man whose full name I don't actually even know. So 3 times, and each conversation is 45 minutes long. He owns purportedly a gigantic ranch in Montana, of which I have about 5 or 6 pictures, including the elk and the longhorn deer from his front yard. I am not kidding. This is going to be a chapter in my book. I have a photo of his humongous 12,000 square foot home that he had custom built in Arkansas. I have invitations to come and stay at both places. And if my dad wants to go hunting in Montana, he can go stay there anytime. And also, if you want huckleberry pie, it's the best in the whole world.
But you can find an agent in Montana for him too.
Yeah, I did.
Like you can get the referral.
He didn't want to buy anything. He just wants to talk. I am convinced that this man is actually in love with you. No, he's older. I mean, he's got to be close to 70 years old. But we've talked about all his daughters. One lives in Milan. One lives in Northern California. One is a cardiac surgeon at Baylor. I'm like, I'm telling you, I literally can write a book about this man. And I'm like, if he wasn't so, he seems really innocuous. Like he doesn't ask a ton of creepy questions about me, which I'm like, if that started, I'd be like, block this number. But he just wants to talk. I think he just really wants to talk. He's like, can I call you? Yesterday he texted me at like 8:15. Can I call you? I did not respond. After like an hour, I was like, I'm having a really crazy busy day. I've got some time sensitive things I have to work on. I might have some time between 10 and 11. Just because I'm like, I don't know who this dude is. He obviously seemed harmless. So he didn't call me between 10 and 11. I was like, phew. He texted me again at 12:15. Do you have time to talk? I never get enough time to talk. So finally, I was like, you're so nice. Well, and then he called me at like 3:30. We talked for 45 more minutes. I'm like, I have to take my son to karate. He's like, oh, karate. Yeah. So my niece does karate and she's only 5 foot tall. And I told my friend so-and-so, he's 6'6", and he doesn't even know. I said, you watch out for her, she'll kick your ass. Sure enough, she kicked his ass. That's great, RJ. I need to go. I really need to go. And then he's like, he doesn't golf. And he decides to go. He's like, okay, bye.
Oh Lord.
I'm like, so crazy. So I'm like, yeah, make sure you know your market. Yeah.
Yeah, pay attention to the market.
Crazy.
I called a lead and she was literally crazy. She started talking to me about George Bush. Literally, she was like, I I was like, are you looking for real estate? She's like, well, George Bush is the one that got me this house. And I was like, then she starts talking about like Putin, and I was like, all right, I can't help you.
So sorry, we're done. Can't do that one.
So win or lose, definitely.
Yeah, it's all about following up there because you're gonna get the crazy ones, but then you're gonna get over half my business comes off Facebook. So you're gonna get the good ones.
Right now, especially, I think social media is like the best way to get in touch with anybody because
Everybody's home.
you can't really meet with people. You're not necessarily going to run into people at social things. So it's just a little.
Hey, does anybody over Zoom have questions?
Sorry.
They're not answering. For everybody here, there's pizza upstairs for lunch. Integrity has lunch upstairs.
Shoot, I'm late tonight. I gotta go.
Okay, I'm hitting the stop button. Thank you guys.
Can I look at this real quick while you have it here? This is great. I'm actually working on a packet myself.
The open house form. Yep.
Me as well.